Imagine waking up to headlines that the United States has missed a debt payment. Within hours, global markets freeze, banks lock their doors, and the value of every dollar in your wallet evaporates. This isn't a doomsday fantasy. It's the unspoken fear at the heart of the world's financial system. Most people think of debt as a personal burden or a government statistic, but U.S. debt is something far more profound. It's the invisible architecture holding up everything from your mortgage to the price of bread. If that structure ever cracks, the shockwaves would reach every corner of the globe. Most people never see it coming. Will you? Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the illusion of financial safety and asking the question no one dares to answer. Is the world's prosperity built on a foundation of sand, and what happens if it all comes crashing down? To understand why a missed U.S. debt payment could shatter the world, we have to travel back to the birth of American finance. In 1790, the fledgling United States was drowning in war loans, its credit in tatters. Most nations would have defaulted. Instead, Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton made a radical bet. He embraced the debt, arguing that if America could borrow and pay reliably, it would prove itself trustworthy, a safe bet in a world of broken empires. Hamilton's gamble worked. The U.S. began issuing treasury bonds, simple promises to pay, and, crucially, kept those promises. Investors, both domestic and foreign, bought in. Confidence grew. Over decades, U.S. debt transformed from a desperate necessity into the world's most coveted asset. By the mid-20th century, after Bretton Woods, the dollar, and by extension U.S. debt, became the backbone of global finance. Gold faded into history. Trust in America's word became the new gold standard. Today, every major bank, pension fund, and central bank relies on U.S. treasuries as the ultimate safe haven. But beneath this apparent stability lies a fragile truth. The entire system rests not on metal, but on faith, faith that could vanish in an instant. For decades, the world treated U.S. debt as unbreakable, until the cracks began to show. Every few years, Washington's political theater turns the debt ceiling into a hostage, threatening to halt payments on trillions owed. Each standoff sends tremors through global markets, as investors wonder if this time, the unthinkable might happen. Meanwhile, the cost of servicing America's debt has soared, with annual interest payments now rivaling the entire defense budget. Foreign governments, once eager buyers of treasuries, are quietly trimming their holdings, hedging their bets with gold and alternative currencies. The system has already come close to breaking. In 1979, a minor processing glitch delayed treasury payments for just a few days, interest rates spiked, and the aftershocks lingered for years. In 2011, political brinkmanship led to the first-ever downgrade of U.S. credit, wiping trillions from global markets. More recently, each debt ceiling crisis has pushed the world to the edge, only for a last-minute deal to pull it back. Each time, the world blinked, and then pretended nothing happened. But faith doesn't reset. It erodes, quietly, with every close call, leaving the system more fragile than anyone wants to admit. Picture the moment the news breaks. The U.S. has missed a debt payment. In the first hour, every trading algorithm on Wall Street and beyond senses the shift. Screens flash red, liquidity vanishes, and the world's safest asset is suddenly radioactive. Banks, unsure who to trust, freeze lending. Overnight, credit lines evaporate. The dollar, once the anchor of global trade, begins to plummet as investors scramble for anything that feels safe: gold, euros, even cryptocurrencies. Within days, the world's financial plumbing seizes. International shipments stall as letters of credit become worthless. Pension funds and insurance companies, built on the bedrock of treasuries, see their portfolios unravel. Ordinary people feel the shock in ways that can't be ignored. ATMs run dry, paychecks are delayed, and the price of essentials soars. The sense of security that once seemed unshakable is replaced by confusion and fear. The world's faith in the dollar, painstakingly built over centuries, is shattered in a matter of days. And as the dust settles, everyone, from Wall Street titans to small-town families, realizes that the unthinkable has become reality, and the old rules no longer apply. Look around today, and the warning signs are impossible to ignore if you're willing to see them. U.S. debt has soared past $38 trillion, with annual interest payments nearing $1 trillion, rivaling the nation's biggest expenses. Central banks around the world are quietly buying gold at record levels, hedging against a future where the dollar isn't king. Major economies like China, Russia, and India are building new trade systems that bypass the dollar entirely. Even longtime allies are diversifying their reserves. just in case. Yet, for most people, these shifts barely register. A headline here, a market blip there. The cracks are already showing. Most people ignore them until it's too late. History's greatest collapses always seem unthinkable, right up until the moment they become inevitable. The question isn't whether the world is changing. It's whether you'll notice before the crowd does. If history teaches one lesson, it's that trust, not gold, not paper, not digital code, is the real currency of civilization. When trust cracks, everything else follows. So how can you protect yourself in a world where the unthinkable is suddenly possible? First, diversify. Don't put all your assets in one basket, especially not in a single currency or institution. Look at how survivors of past crises, Weimar Germany, Argentina, even 2008 America, spread their risk across cash, precious metals, real estate, and even barterable goods. Second, understand counterparty risk. Ask yourself, if the system seizes, who actually owes you money, and can they pay? Third, never assume it can't happen here. The people who weather storms best are those who prepare before the crowd, not after. Build an emergency fund, keep some assets outside the banking system, and stay informed. Survivors always do one thing differently: they act before panic sets in. In a crisis of trust, those who prepare early aren't just lucky. They're ready to end the end. It's not dollars or gold that hold our world together, it's trust. When that trust falters, even the strongest economies can crumble overnight. Remember, no government can print confidence, and no system is too big to fail. History rewards those who pay attention and punishes those who look away. Don't be the last to see the cracks forming beneath your feet. If you value foresight over fear, and preparation over panic, subscribe now, share this story, and join the conversation below. Stay alert, stay informed, and stay ahead of the next crisis, before it's too late.